The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant, it's just that they know so much that isn't so. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Government's view of the economy could be summed up in a few short phrases: if it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it. If we ever forget that we are one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under. Trust, but verify. It's true, hard work never killed anybody, but I figure, why take the chance? Government's first duty is to protect the people, not run their lives. How do you tell a communist? Well, it's someone who reads Marx and Lenin. And how do you tell an anti-communist? It's someone who understands Marx and Lenin. Democracy is worth dying for, because it's the most deeply honorable form of government ever devised by man. You can tell a lot about a fellow's character by his way of eating jelly beans. Recession is when a neighbor loses his job. Depression is when you lose yours. Life is one grand, sweet song, so start the music. Surround yourself with the best people you can find, delegate authority, and don't interfere as long as the policy you've decided upon is being carried out. No government ever voluntarily reduces itself in size. Government programs, once launched, never disappear. Actually, a government bureau is the nearest thing to eternal life we'll ever see on this earth. Some people wonder all their lives if they've made a difference. The Marines don't have that problem. Government does not solve problems, it subsidizes them. Don't be afraid to see what you see. Republicans believe every day is the 4th of July, but the Democrats believe every day is April 15th. I know in my heart that man is good. That what is right will always eventually triumph. And there's purpose and worth to each and every life. Man is not free unless government is limited. Government exists to protect us from each other. Where government has gone beyond its limits is in deciding to protect us from ourselves. Status quo, you know, is Latin for the mess we're in. To sit back hoping that someday, some way, someone will make things right is to go on feeding the crocodile, hoping he will eat you last, but eat you he will. We should measure welfare's success by how many people leave welfare, not by how many are added. All the waste in a year from a nuclear power plant can be stored under a desk. Before I refuse to take your questions, I have an opening statement. Approximately 80% of our air pollution stems from hydrocarbons released by vegetation, so let's not go overboard in setting and enforcing tough emission standards from man-made sources. A tree's a tree. How many more do you need to look at? Today on the NATO line, our military forces face east to prevent a possible invasion. On the other side of the line, the Soviet forces also face east to prevent their people from leaving. I never drink coffee at lunch. I find it keeps me awake for the afternoon. How can a president not be an actor? Above all, We must realize that no arsenal, or no weapon in the arsenals of the world, is so formidable as the will and moral courage of free men and women. It is a weapon our adversaries in today's world do not have. We can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone. When you can't make them see the light, make them feel the heat. Peace is not absence of conflict, it is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. Inflation is as violent as a mugger, as frightening as an armed robber and as deadly as a hitman. We must reject the idea that every time a law is broken, society is guilty rather than the lawbreaker. It is time to restore the American precept that each individual is accountable for his actions. We are never defeated unless we give up on God. The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted, it belongs to the brave. There are no great limits to growth, because there are no limits of human intelligence, imagination, and wonder. There are no constraints on the human mind, no walls around the human spirit, no barriers to our progress except those we ourselves erect. There are no easy answers, but there are simple answers. We must have the courage to do what we know is morally right. Within the covers of the Bible are the answers for all the problems men face. I've often said there's nothing better for the inside of a man than the outside of a horse. It has been said that politics is the second oldest profession. I have learned that it bears a striking resemblance to the first. All great change in America begins at the dinner table. Latinos are Republican. They just don't know it yet. Facts are stubborn things. The problem is not that people are taxed too little, the problem is that government spends too much. Today we did what we had to do. They counted on America to be passive. They counted wrong. My fellow Americans, I am pleased to tell you I just signed legislation which outlaws Russia forever. The bombing begins in 5 minutes. I have wondered at times what the Ten Commandments would have looked like if Moses had run them through the U.S. Congress. Each generation goes further than the generation preceding it because it stands on the shoulders of that generation. You will have opportunities beyond anything we've ever known. Government is like a baby. An alimentary canal with a big appetite at one end and no sense of responsibility at the other. Welfare's purpose should be to eliminate, as far as possible, the need for its own existence. If we love our country, we should also love our countrymen. A people free to choose will always choose peace. The best minds are not in government. If any were, business would steal them away. Freedom prospers when religion is vibrant and the rule of law under God is acknowledged.